The flaw in the society we have today is that we thought success would be a society with a great deal of abundance, healthcare, vacations, nice homes, nice communities, good arts. But we forgot one critical component in the Industrial Revolution, which is the human revolution, where we see people as our purpose. If we saw the Industrial Revolution as a chance for people to be who they're intended to be and appreciated for that, and that these opportunities we created in these companies that were growing would give them a chance to grow and be a part of a team and share in the benefit, it would have been great. But we saw people as a function, and as the more people we could hire because we needed them, and we didn't pay them well because we cared about them. We paid them well because that's what we had to pay them. If success is money, power, and position, why today, with the most prosperous economy in our history, do we have the highest level of depression, anxiety, and suicide we've ever had? Because we forgot that when we come together in communities, in companies, in organizations, we need to learn to care for the people that we have the stewardship of for 20 hours a week, 40 hours a week. And that is the key thing that we missed. So I started talking about we need to care for the people we have the privilege of leading. The lens through which I saw people, the way I was educated and the way I experienced the world, I saw people as functions, not as somebody's precious child. That is the revelation that led to Truly Human Leadership, that led to our book. People are our purpose, and people simply want to know that who they are and what they do matters. The foundation of Truly Human Leadership is a focus on the people we have the privilege of leading, making sure that when they leave our care, they go home feeling valued so they can treat their spouse, their children, and behave in the community. To me, it is the key to solving issues we face as a society around the world.
Clearly, this is deeply rooted in our society, this mentality that we're treating people like functions rather than human beings. So it's hard to undo something that's so integrated into the way we treat people in the workplace, which is probably why leaders are having such a hard time adopting it. This type of people-focused leadership really leads to a very strong organizational culture. And I've seen in my experience working for different companies how culture is it's this very touchy-feely subject. You can sense when it's good, you can sense when it's bad, but you can't really pinpoint what's driving it. But you can tell when there's a change in leadership at the top. You feel the shift in culture. And I imagine when you step down as CEO at Barry-Wehmiller at some point, and someone else takes your role, because you've deeply integrated it into the DNA of Barry-Wehmiller, it will stay. How do you build that type of culture to the point where it's sustainable beyond just one person at the top?
My greatest fear is that we were blessed with a vision of the way the world was meant to be, and it would die with me. And I said, okay, what are we going to do? We got up that morning, the next morning at breakfast, and said, what do great religions do to survive over time? They articulate their beliefs, and then they have disciples who share that belief through stories that carry it on for centuries going forward. So I said, how do we make it not a Bob thing? This is what we all believe is the way we are called to lead. In my accounting and MBA, we never talked about how to create disciples. So we decided we needed a university to begin to teach people to become disciples of this. So it's not Bob's belief, it's our belief. I said, we can't send people back to our great universities in this country because we don't teach caring. We teach using people. We teach success as money, power, and position. So we decided to start a university, and somebody said, well, what are we going to teach? And I said, when I step on our jet, the pilots have been through a thorough check to make sure that when I step into that plane, I'm in good care as we fly. What we need is a leadership checklist, things a leader needs to think about every day in the stewardship of the lives that are entrusted to them. So we created a leadership checklist, and then we said, now what we're going to do is teach people how to use the leadership checklist. So it's not just a list. And this incredible team I had of relatively young people with absolutely no educational experience, we created a curriculum that to this day is astounding to me. We had a gentleman named David Vandermeulen who said, well, the first thing we need to do is teach people how to listen with empathy. And I said, David, we all know how to listen. We're adults. He said, Bob, we don't. We're going to do it. So I said, okay. So the first class was designed as empathetic listening, which never in a million years would I have ever thought it was something we needed to teach adults. The second thing, which was equally important, is I said, when I was raising our 6 kids with Cynthia, we were told that if you don't compliment your kids 5 times more than you suggest things they could do better, it's hard on them. So I said, we need to teach people recognition and celebration. How do you let people know they matter in thoughtful, timely, appropriate ways? So we created a class on recognition and celebration. How do you let people know they matter? And the third class was culture of service, seizing the opportunity to serve others, moving from a me-centric world to a we-centric world. Now, those 3 eclectic classes we began, developed by our eclectic, talented team, and I would sit down at the graduation of these various classes, and grown men and women would come to tears. And I was astounded. They didn't say I ran a better accounting department, a better production department. They didn't say I improved my efficiency. They said my marriage is better and my relationship with my children is better. Because what we did is we tapped into human skills that to go well beyond what we should do at work.
I led people through change. I see how difficult it is to change mindset, to change behavior. You must have had to go through that with your team, with your people leaders, as you were engaging this concept of truly human leadership, proactive conversations with people, coaching conversations versus reactivity. I actually remember the example in your book where you had someone who was very much anti the concept you were trying to put forward and actually eventually became one of your biggest advocates and even one of your teachers at your school. How did that transformation happen? How do you change people and get them to come on board with this approach?
Bill Urey, the name that we talked about earlier, the Harvard peace negotiator. Bill Urey used the example, and the person you're talking about is Randall Fleming. He worked in our manufacturing area. He ran a big machine tool. He had a pretty military background. It's the kind of guy you stay away from in the plant. You don't mess with Randall. And what Bill Urey described, he would describe the question as we have courageous patience. And he said it's like a bus going around in a circuit. The bus pulls up, the truly human leadership bus pulls up. He said, would you like to get on this bus and join us? And he said, you know what? I'm not quite ready yet. And we say, that's okay, because we'll be back. And so what Simon Sinek encouraged us to do, which was a factor, is to focus on the people that do get it. Focus on the people that do get it, and others will follow. Law of early adoption. So Randall, it took him a while, but when he clicked, the 7 Harvard professors who came out wanted to write a book about him because his transformation was unbelievable. It's a beautiful example of flexing to where everybody is. It took him longer, but boy, when he got it, he became a symbol of truly human leadership.